Firelock 198X by DrekfortMDC is a tabletop wargame set in the post-industrial nuclear era of a fantasy setting, where Wolfmen pack 4-gauge shotgun and flying chariot, constructs in rocket following orders centuries out of date, steel tide still solves most problems, and random peasant running around with demon core star flare. It's a lovely day to fight in post-nuclear warfare. First thing first, before we take a look at the available factions, let's understand how this game works. As a start, you want a bunch of d6, and to succeed at anything, you want to meet or roll past a target number, and sometimes, the dice you roll might get further modified depending on the circumstances. That is the basic dice mechanic of Firelock. What's next is probably the defining feature of the game. In Firelock, infantry and vehicles have different base sizes, with other more unique units having even more different ones too. Why I'm telling you this? Because at the start of a game, all units are obstructed, unable to be identified on what they really are, and the only way to do so is to spot it, whether with dedicated spotter, or because your infantry just walked right next to a goddamn tank platoon. It's not just simply a war game of having your units charging at the first thing you can see, it's a game of guessing where things are, and predicting what's your opponent's next move. A match can only have so many points, 100 for small border skirmish and 500 for full-on combined arms operation, and powerful units tend towards being expensive, and once you figure out where one is, you can probably guess what cheaper unit is on its flank. Even if you still don't know what a unit you have line of sight to is, you can kinda guess it by its movement and how your opponent used them. Also, just to make sure you don't get confused by this mechanic, make a hint on those blind unit bases, a key that you can use to figure it out. Don't let your opponent see it and decipher your whole goddamn war plan. Now, let's talk units. In general, there's 3 types of units on field: infantry, vehicle, and aircraft. Infantry might be cheap and weak and don't like to get shot at, but there's a lot of them, and they can be tougher than you think in cover or even after suffering severe casualty in a squad. They are also the only unit that can capture objective. A vehicle is tough, fast, but is also often expensive, can't take cover well, and might be easier to get shot at, and while they can't take objective, they can certainly prevent others from doing so. And lastly, aircraft comes in the form of helicopter which stays around, being very hard to hit, and can sometimes unload hot death, but dedicated anti-air will bring them down fast. While actual planes are too fast to stay on field most of the time, they just drop their lethal payload and then they go, only get called in as support. When you read up on a unit card, you will have to read these codes. It's simple really. The line said this is a vehicle, it has height of 2, can spot things at 32 inches, can move 8 before terrain multiplier, has quality of 3, which is how well disciplined a unit is before it starts freaking out in combat, and lastly, toughness, which is how much weapon strength it can handle, and the number is for front, side, or rear. To know which side a unit is facing, just look at the shaded part. As for weapons, here's how you read it. This heavy machine gun can target all units, has range of 24 inches, half range of 12, this will be important, and has accuracy of 4+ while stationary and 5+ on the move, +1 accuracy modifier when at half range, and then it has weapon strength of 3 beyond half range, 4 below, and to attack, you roll 2 dices. And on some powerful weapons, you will find this: ammo, how many shots you can perform. This is often paired with some weapons that also have multiple munition options. Using any will consume that ammo, and to resupply on field, you will need some logistic truck, which is far cheaper than getting another tank, so get used to it. To see if your attack actually works, you compare the strength of the weapon that hits versus the toughness of that arc, then you roll the 2 hit dices again to see if it works. You won't be killing a tank with a handgun here, that's for sure. Some units, most really, also have special rules indicated by these italicized words. I'm sure you can read them on your own. I still don't understand what's so Italy about being slanted. This game also supports nuclear weapon, it's on the cover itself. You may acquire tactical nuclear weapons through special units or something that can turn part of the map into not part of the map anymore, and although nothing in the game will let you launch a strategic nuclear weapon, the game still simulates its effect by telling you to swipe everything off the map and shake hand with your opponent, which is better than pouring gasoline and setting it on fire, I suppose. Now you know how to read on units and utilize them, but without order, an army is just a big mob. This goes double true for the Rigolic because they are an army that run entirely on a dying 5G connection. To actually move your units, you need TACCOM or tactical command units. These are the core of your army. If you lose them all, you lose no matter what. You move a unit by using a command token, and this TACCOM unit can generate 3 of them at the start of a support phase, The first phase of every round, each token is spent to move only one unit, which sounds like pain when you have dozens of them, but there's another way. You can instead spend tokens on brigade moves, making 3 units within 12 inches radius of the TACCOM unit to be able to move together with the TACCOM unit. All TACCOM units have the brigade move. Sometimes the best way to command with unreliable communication line is just be on the front line. This lets you move a significant force up, bringing firepower and support to bear, but it also means even if your opponent have no idea what is what yet, they can clearly tell a TACCOM unit is in that group you just moved if they have line of sight in any way possible, and that is a priority target because bringing that down means you can move things less. And I will remind you, artillery exists in this game and they are very effective, so, don't drive too forward and don't try to hit people with your sword. So, I mentioned support phase, but how does a round in Firelock really works? A round in Firelock is separated into multiple phases, starting with support phases where you can call in airplane for close air support, interception, or artillery to start aiming at a spot. Then there's fire phase, in which every unit on field that can fire at a target, well, fire. Yes, this means while you need command token to move things, you certainly don't need them to tell some infantry to shoot at a bunch of Lupars that are about to rip their face off. Artillery and aircraft also do their damage at this stage, dogfighting included. Third phase is maneuver phase. You know what happens here for the most part already, but things can be a little more complex if you desire to. Fourth is identification phase, the phase where you actually spot things and realize how lucky or how screwed you are. Fifth is close combat phase, only one faction likes this phase. And lastly, objective phase, to check if your infantry can capture an objective or not. This makes things a little tricky. Most games have you immediately knowing what you will be dealing with. You then move your unit and immediately shoot them. Over here, that basically won't happen for the first round. Then you move your unit, identify all possible targets, and only in the next round can you even begin to attack. This means the following situations can happen. You move a unit to the nearest thing, and, rather than being able to immediately frag it like in most games, your opponent instead move another unit closer. Then you identify how absolutely screwed you are, and then die from the firepower of 2 units. However, that light tank is chaff, and by keeping 2 powerful units on one side of the map, on the other flank, everything is collapsing for your opponent. Now that's a major error. Other than the rules, the core rulebook also gives some in-depth talks on how to make your map, how to print and make those paper standees to play game physically, and plenty of scenarios to play out and give examples of, as well as how to make your formation with tactics that they can apply with. I fully recommend reading up on them, and now you know how to play Firelock 198X, so let's meet the cannon fodders you will soon be throwing into battle with. In the current version of Firelock, there's 4 field manuals for each faction: the Federal States Army, the Army of Ebon Forest, the New Rigolic Host, and the Atom Barons of Santagria. The Federal State Army is what you would call as the standard faction, something familiar. The FSA is the Land and Air Army of the Intermarine Federation. They pride themselves on the fight for upkeeping liberty and maybe a bit too much. Most of the army is never sober, driver included. They constantly smoke fat blunt even in the era of thermal sensor. But, while they do not have the superhuman strength, coordination, or suicidalness of their enemies, the FSA has shitload of steel to solve problems with, and even if they are most normal looking, relatively, of all factions, they got bit and pieces that reminds the readers the normal of Firelock, such as how computer in this world sometimes means more than just chips of silicon. They also have shit aircraft, but at least they are cheap. The Army of Ebon Forest is the army of the Kingdom of Ebon Forest, a totalitarian state, helmed by a regent and his council in the name of its deceased monarch and founder, the Wolf King. While the Lupars are superhuman, in more senses than one, and they really make good uses of it, the kingdom tends towards being a little material poor compared to the FSA. They aren't stupid, however, they know this, and they can make full use of what little they have very well, especially in artillery. Though that doesn't mean they aren't a bit boneheaded sometimes. Yes, I'm sure being a good melee fighter is a good idea on modern battlefield, though some of them might not have a say in it, as Lupar can go berserk when being pushed too far, which is unfortunately a rather common problem. It's why Waykeepers are here and there even if the Regency hates their guts. They have excellent aircrafts. The New Rigolic Host is an autonomously operated immunity system formerly controlled by the currently dead Master Brain that have shut down after playing too many hours of Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. It still follows its last order, to protect the petty states of Rygos, which was formed out of the collapsed remnant of the old Rigolic Empire. The NRH cannot replace its loss quickly, but every one of its troops are fully capable of defeating 10 times its amount in every single aspect, whether infantry, vehicle, artillery, aircraft, and some other weird shit you don't want to know. They got mech, they got attack rocket, they got freaking laser beam, they got whatever the hell this is, they also got Big Titadul Ahan Death Commando. They got an army that is frankly more than capable of conquering the rest of the planet if they wish to, but they just can't. Their commanders are just Wi-Fi tower, receiving signal from a command center somewhere in the petty state that still follow its last order that will never get renewed. The drones the NRH use might be there to cut cost for actually expendable units or emplacements, or maybe, they know that slowly but surely, they are falling apart. Their aircrafts are fucking good. Long ago, the former nation of Santagria, a land rich in naturally occurring weapon-grade plutonium, was broken down in nuclear fire. Its landed nobles then abandoned all pretenses of cooperation in favor of individual ambitions. For the most part, the armies of the atom barons of Santagria are what a baron may muster by the strength of his personality, cobbled together from whatever they can find according to their need rather than following any cohesive doctrine. The common levies get bolt action, antique cannons, and steam engines. The nobility rides in the most lethal of machines, land, or air, on this side of the world, some so massive they can even take multiple hits to go down. In the new Santagria, peasant life are cheap, dirt cheap, but those that win, they can win big, and that drives people to a new level of insanity, or maybe that's just the radon water seeping into the wells. They have excellent helicopter and aircraft, in more variety than you would imagine. And that's basically it on Firelock 198X, a nuclear age fantasy wargame that really makes full use of the survivability onion. The thing I have told you about the world of Firelock is only the bits and pieces that I could make sense of. Most are from in-universe commentary written with almost every unit card. They are interesting, a small window to a very fascinating universe. Anyway, you can get it now on itch.io, or on Neocities, and if you want to play it digitally, you can play it with Tabletop Simulator. The game is still in development, so things might change there and there. That's all for now, and I will see you all next time. Hello there, if you like this video, please subscribe and click that notification bell button. If you want to see the videos early as well as further support my channel, you can join in my Patreon page, or buy me some coffee, links in the description. Anyway, have a nice day.